Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Man, we hate reporting these types of things, but today it's just been announced like minutes ago that we lost back on the 19th, actually, the great Gary Brooker, founding member, vocalist, songwriter, and pianist of Procol Harum, passed away at 76 in his home, surrounded by his family after a battle with cancer. And this is. It's a tough one. I mean, one of the founding fathers, you could sort of say, of progressive rock, classic rock, that wonderful voice. Turn the wider shade of pale. I mean, just like the voice of so many great songs, so many great albums, and truly one of the great kind of British singers of all time, regardless of what the genre is that you're talking about. Born May 29th, 1945 in Hackney, London, England. He leaves us February 19th, 2022 at the age of 76. Of course, quite the career with Procol Harum. Of course, he played in the Paramounts in the early 60s. It was his first kind of notable band alongside Mr. Robin Trower, before a few years later forming the band called Procol Harum, which, at the time, more of like a R&B, just rock band, like rhythm and blues is what you called, back then. But so many great songs and albums, so many great vocals. The first album here, obviously. Remember the first time you ever heard Conquistador? Just fantastic. And, that piano, the organ, the great voice, the classy arrangements, the little stabbing guitars from Trower on occasion. But, for me, this band was always all about Gary Brooker. Always all about Gary Brooker. And let's see if I can get... probably get some better pictures. I wanted to get a picture from one of the albums. But, The Wider Shade of Pale obviously is their most endearing song. Shine On Brightly. There's the guys right there. In Held to His Eye, A Salty Dog. It's funny because, when you look back at the career of not just Gary, but of this band, they kind of don't really fit anywhere too neatly, because they did a little bit, they weren't really a blues band, they weren't a jazz band, they kind of were a pop band, but they had more rock elements. They did a fair amount of pretty intricate song arrangements and compositions, so they're kind of, along with the Moody Blues, they're often talked about as, one of the first ever bands that dabbled in this thing we later known as progressive rock. But they weren't really all about that. I mean, they just were just a great British rock and pop band, to me, is what I always thought, who did little bits of other things. The Great Salty Dog album is another major achievement. You've got, these are just a bunch of classic, Broken Barricades, one of my favorites, probably their hardest rocking album. Simple Sister. There's something about the, muscular guitars of Robin Trower, and backed by that piano and early, Matthew Fisher early on with the organ, right? And just Brooker and Trower just seemed made for each other. It's just a shame, that Robin went off fairly soon, but then, we wouldn't have gotten the great Trower solo career that we got from him, and alongside James Dewar, which James Dewar, great singer as well. And how cool is it that Trower got to work with, over the course of his career, someone like a Gary Brooker, someone like a James Dewar, and a Jack Bruce. Sadly, all three of them are now gone, right? The great live album, right? Grand Hotel. It's just really classy British rock music. Exotic Birds and Fruit. I mean, it's just like Procol's ninth. I mean, these are all really strong albums. The great melodies, the great harmonies, the just real classy, majestic musical passages. There's something to be said about some of these singers from this era, from the UK. I mean, I think you think of that, Steve Winwood, Dave Mason, Jack Bruce, Gary Brooker, Elton John, Paul McCartney, all these guys. I mean, Jeff Lynne. I mean, so many absolutely distinctive vocalists that the second you hear one little measure of a verse, you hear them open their mouth, you know exactly who it is. I mean, that was Gary Brooker. Such a rich vocal presentation. And I never had the opportunity to see Procol Harum live, although I've seen plenty of live clips from the band throughout their career. And just a great showman, great band leader, and man, you just picture him sitting behind, just kind of like Elton John and Billy Joel, sitting behind that piano and just belting it out. That's what he did so well. And again, another voice of the generations that now is sadly no longer with us. And I know he's had his health issues over the years. I think he fell and really injured his back a few years back, and and he's been battling cancer for a bit. And it's just really sad that that he's no longer with us. And it's all over the Procol Harum website and talking about funerals and donations and all that sort of thing. So, just a really, really sad day. Another absolute legend from the British rock scene has left us. Gary Brooker, at age of 76, apparently passes away from cancer in his home. And our condolences go out to Gary's friends and family, and certainly all of his fans throughout the world. We're going to miss him, but he's up there, like we always say, now jamming with the greats. That lovely voice. Rest in peace, Gary Brooker. Take care, my man. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we are on YouTube all the damn time. Thanks for watching. Rest in peace, Gary Brooker. Passes away at the age of 76 on February 19th. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching. Go out and play some Procol Harum today in memory of Gary. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.